rules and guidelines for your cleaning business. How do you know what rules and guidelines should you keep back at the office for you and your employees? And how do you know what rules and guidelines you should share with your customers? Oh, that is a great question because we want everybody to be playing on the same page. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's show is brought to us by House Call Pro. And House Call Pro is a software that runs in the background of your business. Now, there's something super cool about House Call Pro. Let's say, for example, that you hired an administrative person that made all of your outgoing calls, and they called your customers, and they set up appointments, and then they followed up with the customers, and they reminded them that you were coming to clean their house, and then they had to figure out the scheduling, and they had to figure out the billing, and the invoicing, and the collecting, and then they had to process the credit cards to close out the day and all of those things. Wouldn't it be nice, instead of having an employee do that you had a service that ran silently in the background of your business? You didn't have any employee challenges with this software. It never calls out late. It never calls out sick. It never has other excuses of why it can't show up for work. It just shows up and runs in the background of your business. It is brilliant. And what would you pay for that? Well, it's a fraction of the cost of an employee, so it's a no-brainer. Go to housecallpro.com/Angela, and they've made a special discount for me and all my friends. You only get the discount, though, if you go through the webpage that they've set up for me and my friends. And that's housecallpro.com/Angela. All right, on to today's show, which is from a house cleaner who has this question.
Yes, Angie, I was trying to see how can I go by to set the rules and guidelines of my cleaning business.
All right, rules and guidelines. This is an excellent question, and I'm so glad that you asked it. When you're first starting out in the house cleaning business, you do not know what the rules and guidelines are because you don't know yet what the challenges of the business are. So there are very strategic steps along the way that we want you to make all of those marks along the way so that you know what the right questions are, because only with the right questions come the right rules and guidelines. Does that make sense? So there's a certain path, and if you skip steps of the path, you also skip certain steps that are rules and regulations. Then it creates havoc and nightmares that will haunt you for the rest of your cleaning business. So how do you know what the rules and regulations are? All right, first and foremost, there are a couple of things that are common to house cleaners everywhere. But what I want you to do from day one is I want you to grab a notepad and paper, and I want you to start taking notes. Every single time something malfunctions, and this is the key, when something malfunctions, I want you to make a note of what it was that malfunctioned. And I don't want you to get upset and go, oh, I can't believe it. That doesn't help anybody, and it doesn't solve your problem. What does solve your problem is when you walk yourself through the steps and say, oh my goodness, why did this happen? And this happens for both the people back at your office, which are your employees that you dispatch on jobs every day, and it happens with your customers. So if the employee challenge is, my kids are sick, I don't feel like showing up for work today, I have doctor's appointments or whatever, those are things that need to be dealt with, okay? They're common things, and I promise they're going to come back. So if that's a challenge for you, and you have a day where your day is booked, and you have all kinds of scheduling issues, and then people call and cancel on you, whether they're sick or their kid is sick or whatever, there needs to be a system in place. And so your rules and guidelines are based on what are the challenges. So every time there's a challenge, you say, what is going on here? How can I fix it? That creates a new rule or a new guideline. Now the rule is no call outs without a 3-day notice, right? If you're going to call out for a day, give me 3 days notice. Now there's a guideline. If your kid is sick, here's how much time we need. And you can start making rules and guidelines based on those challenges. In the house cleaning industry with the customers, one of the big problems is somebody doesn't give you a key, or when you get there, you are locked out. Okay, so that would become a rule. One of the rules is we must have access to the house. These are the guidelines. You can hide a key underneath a rock. You can have a neighbor keep the key. We can keep a key on file with us, or you can give us an alarm code to get inside the house. And so that would be a guideline that they would then follow and agree to because you had a problem or a challenge in the past. Now, over here on the employee side, there could be an issue where there are two coworkers that don't work together. And so that's a problem. Well, I need you on these jobs. You have to figure out a way to get along. No, we don't like each other. We refuse to work together. Okay, now there needs to be a rule in place. The rule might be, I don't care whether you like each other or not. Figure out a way to split it up so that one of you is working the top floor, one of you is working the bottom floor, and you don't even have to speak to each other in the car on the way over. And there may be guidelines where if you can work together, there's a bonus, right? So there may be some sort of way to work that out so that you get your jobs done and you're still able to dispatch your employees. All right, over on the customer side, there are things like, oh, I got to cancel my service today and it's last minute. Oh, you were counting on the money and you got these two house cleaners that don't work together that have to come clean the house, right? Not getting along is one thing. Now you got to pay them to go clean a house that just canceled on you. Right? Lots of nightmares. So over here, you may have a rule and guideline that says no cancellations within a 3-day window. Or you might say, if you cancel within 24 hours, here's the guideline, you owe us a cancellation fee so I can still pay these house cleaners, right? So the rules and guidelines are going to vary from business to business. And the longer you've been in business, the more guidelines you're going to have because you know what those issues are. And so what happens is you start building them into the fabric of your business. So every conversation you have with the customer in the beginning, from the very first phone call, they call you up on the phone, you start laying the groundwork of your rules and guidelines. This is how our business works. And then you give them some guidelines. Then you go to their house and you do a walkthrough and you give them a few more guidelines. And then you walk through the house and you're getting ready to have them sign your working agreement. And then you go over a few more guidelines. So it's not all one great big of guidelines, but you've been laying the foundation. It's like planting seeds. And then as you go, you say things like, well, as you know, and then you go ahead and you share more guidelines. One of the things is, as you know, we do inventory at the end of every day. And that allows us to look into the different cleaning chemicals that we have and make sure we have enough equipment to come clean your house. And that is why we prefer to use our own cleaning equipment instead of yours, right? And so it may not come up, even on the first walkthrough or whatever. But when you approach that with a customer, you're going to start finding these rules and guidelines that then become how you build your business. Now, there are 63 questions that I walk people through, because these questions will make you ask yourself questions like, do you work on the weekends? Because if you know that up front, when a customer calls and you say, no, we do not work on the weekends, you're not scrambling at the last minute trying to find help or workers because you've never made that decision. Once you've made the decision and you say, we don't work on weekends, and you know what you don't do, now you know what you don't do. So when the customer says, do you work weekends? You're like, no, sorry, we don't, but we'd love to come on Monday morning, right? So your rules and guidelines are all based on the challenges that you have in your business. So this is going to sound super weird, and I don't know how to say it any other way, but I want you to go out and I want you to experience and enjoy your challenges, because inside those challenges are the keys that you need to unlock the success of your business. All right, I hope that helps a little bit. Until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.